one normal day covering Chelsea. That's all I ask for. Will never happen. Hello there, guys. Welcome back to Let's Talk Chelsea. I'm Daniel Childs. I hope you're doing well. Hope you're keeping safe. Hope you're ready for today's game against Crystal Palace because, of course, Chelsea are playing today. But we are going to make a news show today and just obviously react to the huge news that broke last night from several reports that Chelsea have hijacked Arsenal's move for Shakhtar Donetsk winger Mykhailo Mudryk. A massive, massive piece of news, and that is going to dominate today's show, obviously, because kind of has to with all the news that's come out and the reaction and kind of giving you my thoughts on this deal, whether I think it's a positive, a negative, where Chelsea should be focusing in this window, what is Mudryk going to bring to Chelsea. All of that stuff will be covered. As I say, if you are new around here, please hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the uploads. If you want to listen to the show as a podcast, Son of Chelsea is a part of the 90 Min podcast network. Link in the description box below to check it out as a podcast. If that's kind of the way you'd like to consume the content, we've got it all up there as well. But let's get into the news. So I want to say that there was sort of the 3 p.m. kickoffs going on around, the Premier League yesterday. And I want to say it was close to the end of those games. We got this news from Fabrizio Romano that Chelsea apparently had sent reps out to Turkey, where Shakhtar are currently based in a training camp, to have this meeting over Mudryk, trying to hijack the deal. Then Matt Law reported in the Telegraph the same thing. Chelsea had gone to Turkey to try and make this deal happen. One source apparently told the Telegraph on Saturday night that Chelsea are going for it. They must think they can do it. And then under an hour, I want to say, after that report from Matt Law, we had from David Ornstein in The Athletic, Chelsea agree a €100 million deal for Mykhailo Mudryk and hijack Arsenal move for the winger. A deal has now been agreed on a fixed fee of €70 million, which is about £62 million, with a further €30 million, £26.5 million in add-ons. Personal terms have also been agreed between Chelsea and the 22-year-old, with a 7-year plus contract to be signed. Apparently, Chelsea representatives, including Director of Global Talent and Transfers Paul Winstanley, and a senior board member, which I think has been reported is BOEHLY, travelled to Turkey to hold these face-to-face talks. Where the Ukrainian club, as we've already said, was holding that training camp. Then Chelsea did release a statement later in the night after a few sort of eye emojis with Shakhtar and asking people on Instagram to follow Mykhailo Mudryk. It was just a bit bizarre. Chelsea are discussing terms with Shakhtar for the transfer of Mykhailo Mudryk. Should a deal be agreed between the two clubs, then the Ukrainian international will discuss personal terms with the Blues ahead of a permanent transfer. Kind of weird positioning from Chelsea. We have reports that the deal has been agreed and it's basically done. Mykhailo Mudryk is flying over to London to get it all done. The medical is going to happen soon. And then also Chelsea on their social accounts are kind of effectively winking and nodding that the deal is done, and then release a statement saying kind of the opposite, that it isn't really done yet. It's just, I've never seen that from Chelsea. Just a bit bizarre and kind of adds to the chaos of the situation. A little bit more background here from Ben Jacobs from CBS. Mudryk has verbally agreed to personal terms on deal until summer 2030, but only after asking whether Arsenal would match Chelsea's offer. Arsenal's advanced talks overlapped with Chelsea's hijack. Arsenal made it clear they wouldn't pay €100 million. This, I'm told, was related to Mudryk. This is key. Mudryk hasn't U-turned and just picked Chelsea over Arsenal. He's agreed to Chelsea over staying at Shakhtar. Always said he wanted a winter move and the Premier League was of huge appeal. Chelsea made a very strong and quick pitch, but it's important to note Mudryk's dream has been Arsenal throughout. It just became apparent in the last few hours, and with two suitors, only one would give Shakhtar what they wanted. I do want to bring up this tweet from Matt Law saying, by my reckoning, Chelsea have an entire team of forwards either permanently at the club due to join, loaned in or loaned out, and that is Mudryk, Nkunku, Felix, Sterling, Havertz, Pulisic, Ziyech, Aubameyang, Broja, Lukaku and Hudson-Odoi. This is unsustainable. They also bid for Noni Madueke, who is, of course, at PSV Eindhoven. We will probably touch on him if that deal progresses a little bit, because that's another interesting one to cover. But how do I feel about this? Confusion is something I've picked up a lot, and that was kind of my instant reaction, and then kind of seeing people's reaction to it as well. Now, I think it's fair to go on the other point of view on this, is that if we go into the summer and Chelsea are going to do kind of a clear out of some players, if, let's say, Christian Pulisic, Hakim Ziyech and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, let's just say those three leave the club, that obviously creates space for a player like Mykhailo Mudryk. We could even see Hakim Ziyech, I think, leave. I think one of Ziyech or Pulisic, maybe not Pulisic now because he's injured, but I could see Ziyech leaving now because Chelsea have not only signed Joao Felix on loan for the rest of the season, they've now apparently signed Mykhailo Mudryk. So if I'm Hakim Ziyech and I'm already sort of a little bit unsettled before the World Cup at Chelsea, I'm probably going to be pushing for a move. I think that's more likely. The only thing I think that could halt that is the injury situation. But, I'd rather let Ziyech go, promote a Murray Hutchinson maybe. I could see that happening. So there would potentially be space. But I just look again at this kind of data-driven planning team think tank that Chelsea have been building. And it kind of flies in the face of a lot of this deal. Chelsea, there's apparently been briefs to very good sources in the media like Matt Law that Chelsea were only kind of speculating on whether they'd go for Mudryk. It wasn't really that serious. That may have just been a sort of a kind of a strategy from Chelsea to make it clear that they weren't going in, and then very much in the 11th hour go in and try and sign Mudryk, and they've accomplished that. So Chelsea apparently could have been very serious about Mudryk all along, and that was just to kind of take away interest from this. But, it is a lot of money, and it is for a player who, as we believe, had his heart set on another club. Apparently, he's agreed to come to Chelsea. This isn't like the Rafinha or Jules Koundé situation, specifically the Rafinha one, in that, Chelsea agreed to deal with Leeds over the summer. And that was my fear when I originally read this piece last night and these stories, that we're going to have another situation where this is going to drag on, and eventually either he stays at Shakhtar or he goes to Arsenal, where he actually wants to be. So maybe that's a stumbling block when he actually comes to Chelsea. This doesn't mean all my confusion over where money should be spent elsewhere. What does this mean for Chelsea trying to get good value in the market? It feels like Chelsea, under this new ownership, are just going to pay whatever they're asked to. Even if it isn't £100 million, and even if it is over a period of time, which is how most transfers are structured. Rob Prattley, who I definitely suggest you go and follow, did a lot of great reporting on this and kind of explaining of this over the summer, of kind of like misconceptions in the transfer window. So it isn't like I think a lot of us have kind of onlookers just watch FIFA career mode and think that 100 million has just been passed to Shakhtar Donetsk right now. Obviously, that's not the way business works in football. But I look at the player. I also look at what is going to be asked of Mykhailo Mudryk to come into Chelsea. You compare the environments between Arsenal and Chelsea at the moment. Arsenal are settled, they're happy, that mood around that club is very positive at the moment. They're at the top of the league. They could go 8 points clear today if they beat Spurs in the North London derby. And there's a very settled system there. Mikel Arteta has sort of such a power and grasp over his squad. There, as I say, clarity over what's going on at that club. And he could have very much settled in and not been under immense pressure, Mykhailo Mudryk, to come in and be an inspirational figure from the off, because things are going well at Arsenal. It just would have added greater depth to their options. At Chelsea, we have injuries. We're in terrible form. Graham Potter is under pressure as a head coach. There's such a lack of clarity over what Chelsea's going to be, this new Chelsea's going to be. And Mykhailo Mudryk, a bit like Joao Felix, I think is going to be leaned upon very quickly with this profile and stature and the price tag and all of that stuff to come in and make an impact. That may be great for the player. He may, as a young player, come into Chelsea and really thrive off that pressure. Compared to recent years when he would have arrived at Chelsea, may have been lost in a shuffle. This may be actually a good time to arrive at Chelsea and really stake your claim for a first team position. But I can understand why people have been very critical of Chelsea since the summer about our lack of planning and how chaotic things look. We'll look at this deal and very much make that claim, and I can completely appreciate it, because as well, Nodi Madueke and all these players that Chelsea are trying to bring in, at some point, Chelsea are going to have to cut their losses on some players. And I think for players like Hudson-Odoi, for instance, I'd be looking at a permanent move away, unless there is a massive clear out of even more players to create space for him in the summer. I would be moving away from Chelsea, because I don't see, Chelsea look like they're just going to keep spending in this area. But we will see whether that's proven right or wrong. In a couple of years' time, Mudryk could prove to be a wonderful player for Chelsea. And as I said with Felix, despite my current reservations, I hope that that's the case. I really do. But we look at other areas, central midfield. I was watching the Man United Man City game, and again, Casemiro. You see the impact Casemiro has had. It seems to me to be a bit of an in-joke at Chelsea of just spending as much money in every single area apart from central midfield now. It's been going on for about 3 or 4 years. Now, as I said at the start, we can't really judge this window on the 15th of January. We have to judge it after the 31st of January. There could still be a move for a midfielder. But again, you just ponder all this time taken up, whether going in for Joao Felix, whether going in for Mykhailo Mudryk. Could this money have been spent elsewhere? I was going to bring up the Enzo Fernandez point. But apparently, the difference in sort of negotiating stances between Shakhtar and Benfica is Benfica want that money like right now. They don't want it in installments, which is apparently what Chelsea wanted to do with Enzo Fernandez. Fair point. Chelsea aren't just going to pay them 120 million, euros right now. So I understand that point, but it's still, I still think it begs the question, why aren't Chelsea investing in, for me, what is their most problematic and essential area? I've seen people try and bring up, we need more of a creative outlet, but I still think the balance issue in central midfield is such a big priority for Chelsea and causes so many problems. You see the problems Liverpool are having this season, kind of having a similar season to Chelsea, and how exposed they are in central midfield. It's a similar problem at Chelsea and has been for some time, and I think addressing that issue will hopefully, like Casemiro has for Man United, elevate the levels of a lot of other players and also create a structure that I think Graham Potter can then work and build upon. That's my opinion, at least. I mean, people may disagree, but we will see. I mean, I still kind of wonder whether this deal's going to fall through. I think it won't now. It seems to be, touch wood, this is going to happen. Mykhailo Mudryk will become a Chelsea player, and you never know, he may be involved against Liverpool next weekend at Anfield, which is a huge game for both clubs. It really is. And obviously we've got the game against Crystal Palace later today. Wanted to give you my reaction to this, one of confusion, but one of hope that Mykhailo Mudryk turns out to be a wonderful player for Chelsea, as I do when we sign anyone. I hope they turn out to be brilliant. But I have to question the thinking behind these signings. I have to question the value Chelsea are getting out of these signings. How, where's the priority going in this window, and why are Chelsea, Nodi Manuake, for instance, I think falls more into that kind of data-driven strategy than, say, Mykhailo Mudryk, which kind of just feels like Chelsea, from an outside, again, we're going from an outsider's perspective here. It looks like a Premier League rival has gone in for someone, and Chelsea have just tried to outbid that club, got the deal done. Do we actually need this player? What is the plan, long-term plan for Mykhailo Mudryk as a young player to continue his development at Stamford Bridge in a different environment to one he's thrived at recently? That in itself is a massive question. I do want to say, just for a little bit of triggering, I mean, I do find it funny, the reaction of Arsenal fans. They have got very little to complain about, and they're still getting angry at Chelsea. I just think that's still quite wonderful. So I'll leave it at that. That's, if there's one positive of this deal, it's triggering Arsenal fans and making them unhappy at a time when they should be very happy. But that is it for today's show. Follow me on Twitter at SonOfChelsea for more Chelsea content. Go on TikTok as well. Got Chelsea content up there as well. Follow me on the podcast. Subscribe. All that good stuff. Have a great Sunday. And I will see you again very soon. All the best.